Yay! That took too many attempts to get me live. Holy fuck. I don't do this very often. I don't even think I've ever actually done this before. Hi, Michelle. Yay! Yay! View request. Go live with Michelle Young. And I shall wait for you to appear. Let's see.
Hi!
Oh, yeah, it worked! I don't know what happened the first time, but I pressed a button and then I was just sitting staring at my face and it kept saying there's 50 users active and I was like, so, am I live? And I'm sitting talking to my device, no idea if I was live, but we made it. Thanks for
We
joining
did.
me
I was
at
like scrolling,
lunchtime.
scrolling, scrolling to refresh.
I know. I had to come out and then go back in again and then it's worked. Anyway, I thought we would have a wee lunchtime chat because you
Yeah,
just did your master coach certificate
yes,
and you
completed.
have just launched your warrior movement,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Warrioress Movement.
exciting. Yeah. So
Yeah.
tell me about it.
Firstly, this has always been a dream of mine to be on like a little chat with you. It's so funny.
I'm
I'm
so
like, oh,
glad that we did this
I'd
then.
love to be on dancing one day. So I'm like, bitch. So so yeah, what do you want to know? So basically, complete the master coach.
Yeah.
That was great. That was just another tool. Hello, everybody. And then I've just completed the first Warrioress Movement. So that's like a 4-week program. So
Amazing.
they've just completed, and now like most of them wanted to continue on again. So we're in the second month, and then I'm gonna launch another one at the end of March. So
Amazing.
yeah.
Amazing. So what do you do over the 4 weeks?
So, oh my goodness, we do loads of different things, but more like it's kind of each week we have a certain thing. So, like on week one, it's all about like your focus, creating confidence, creating motivation, like changing like how you feel, and just giving them the tips and the tools to like realize that you actually have you're in charge of more than you think, regards to your focus, what you put your attention on,
Yeah.
really,
Where
so
your
how you.
attention goes, the energy flows, right?
So like whenever you're feeling crap, you're focusing on something. So I'm teaching them all about how like actually like I'll say okay, feel proud. I'll think of something that makes you feel proud. Now think of something that makes you feel disappointed, and they can see that their focus is doing that. So powerful. So that's week one, and then week two is all about energy. And then I'll give them things that they need to do each week to create that energy, like so movements, meditation, appreciation, um what's the other one? Hydration, yeah. So you're getting all that into your body and how that all affects you because how you show like, energy is everything for me. It's like the number one because like I can't coach anybody if I feel shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So my number one priority of the day is get my energy up.
Yeah.
And then week three is all about like creating goals and purpose and focusing on a mission because a lot of the times we're just kind of like I don't even know what I'm doing. I just go to work, I come home, I watch Netflix, and I'm like, is that fulfilling to you? If it is, great, keep doing it. And then the last week is all about questioning those limiting beliefs and the stories we tell ourselves. It's like, is that really true? Like, and some of the stuff that comes up for them is like, oh my God. So yeah, that's
It's
it.
mad. It's mad the stories we tell us. And some people will totally dismiss affirmations, but we run affirmations all day long. Like we're
Anyway.
constantly telling ourselves we're not good enough, but if we tell ourselves we are good enough, we don't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
It's mental. It's like, right, how do we find even a way to use the language so that you believe it? That you can be
Exactly. You have to
yeah,
believe it because like if I say if I go from I'm not good enough, right, to I wake up, Shell told me to say I'm good enough, and then you get up and say I'm good enough, but you don't believe it. It's not the words that it's the vibration. It's what you believe. So like I'll like okay, give me proof of when you have been good enough, so
yeah,
that we cement that belief in, and then they're like, oh, I'm not all that bad.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's the
So
same, like that energy is the same when you're eating food, right? If you're eating a salad and going, "Oh, I'm eating this because it's going to be good for me," and you have this really low down energy and you hate it, it's going to be toxic in your body because the feeling you've already sent those signals from the brain through your nervous system, this is not good. Whereas if you're
yeah.
sitting, and I always use this analogy, sitting either having a salad or a bit of cake, if you're eating that bit of cake and going, this is exactly what I needed. This is so nourishing. I am absolutely loving this. You're going to get so much more benefit from that.
Yeah.
If you're eating it and you feel guilty, the guilt's there, the dread's there, everything holds in your body. So that this energy and experience is everywhere. And learning to be much kinder to ourselves and more gentle with ourselves. And I was talking to a client this morning, and she teaches a lot of heart-centered work herself. But when it was coming to some of her movement practices, she wasn't applying that same energy of, right, how can we feel safe in this space? How can we feel like this is a good thing that we're doing for our body? How can we feel like this is going to be more beneficial? Like, what can you do to feel nice and feel good here? And it's like, you don't always think to cross these over into all aspects of our life. You might get really focused at work and be that energetic, person at work. But then when it comes to life, dealing with anything outside that, you can be a totally different person.
I love ASMR. I don't know if you know, it's a huge trend. And a lot of people it gets a bad rep, right? But I love the Reiki sessions, Annie. So I literally, like, I had a little 15-minute kind of snooze before I came on, because I'm like, my energy. And the girl, it was all about nurture today. So it was like, when you're always looking for being nurtured off your mom or other people, how can I nurture myself today? How can I do that? So everything we need from other people, it's just asking, how can I give that to me? And in all areas of my life. But yeah, it's hard when you kind of give advice all the time, and then sometimes you have to check yourself to be like, hang on, I'm being a hypocrite right now. I'm not doing what I'm teaching. So
It's easy as a coach to fall into that trap.
Always, but you're human as well,
Yeah. So I took last week as a down week off from work, and when I started back classes on Monday, I said to my classes, I was like, look, I haven't rolled my feet out once this last week, and I haven't done any movement other than my daily walks. It's like, and I'm not going to kid on you that I've done anything else. Like, I have to be honest with you and share, because you as a coach needs to tell other people that they have permission. Like, we have all these really useful tools in place, but some days you just need to not do it. But need to not do it every now and again. It's when that not doing it becomes a habit that then becomes a negative.
Yeah, the fact that you're aware, you're even, because this was me today, like yesterday I had a really bad day and I woke up and I was trying to get my energy on point, went for a walk, and I was like, okay, I'm not using that tool today. The fact that you're aware that you're not even using the tool, you're already a step ahead. Do you know what I mean? You're like, I'm not using that tool today, but like, well, I'm even aware that I'm not doing it. And it's like, maybe you just need a down day. Maybe you need a rest day. Because I've been going, like, I've had 1 week off since lockdown April, like 1 week off. And I'm like, I think I need a down week. My only problem is I've got courses here and there. So I'm like, what can I put in place to do that? So now I'm kind of thinking, everybody needs a down week.
Yeah. I've started scheduling them in every 8 weeks.
Good.
My first one was last week, and I've got my next one scheduled in for the end of April, but I'm telling my clients now, this is what I'm doing. So they are holding me accountable, because loads of them are like, you need to look after yourself. Like, they give me into trouble for it and tell me all the stuff that I tell them. Like, I'm very appreciative of that, and I do have amazing clients who will definitely call me out if I'm not saying what I'm doing what I say I'm going to do.
I know. And the thing with me is, like, I had my sister on my mentoring career last night with the basketball side of things, and we love a comeback. Like, we are the comeback people. So I think that's why we've done so well in lockdown, because we're the people that are fighting for everybody.
I know, hey, shit's been thrown at us, you might wallow in it for a little bit, but then problem solve, how do we get out of this? And it doesn't even need to be a lockdown, it's just life. In life,
like,
always throwing us shit. This is like the biggest shit it's thrown us in a long time. And some people's experiences are going to be more challenging than others. But
totally, I get it. And I'm not saying like, oh my God, get over it. It's like, I've had my weeks where I was like 3 weeks, I was really, at the start, I was like, and then when we came back from Greece back in September, we had to have Shay in isolation. I had a big burnout then, like, because I didn't let myself rest, big burnout. And I didn't get back on track probably till December again. So it's like, I know the pit, I've been in it.
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I get you, I feel what you're going through, I really empathize. It's like, okay, well, we got it. We can't go a year. We can't like live in it for a year. We're like, what can we control in this situation? And let's just take one step at a time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always coming back to control. What are your go-to things that you do in your morning routine?
Oh, my morning routine since I started with Morty, Paul, that was back in May. Have been like my savior, like literally, especially through lockdown. Before, what I used to do was, all right, let me tell you. So I basically have joined a new program with Gareth J. White. Do you know Gareth J. White? The
Yeah. Everybody's
Wake Up
got it.
Warrior. And his stuff is quite intense. So I'm like wake up at 5:30. And the reason I do that is I have a child. So not everybody has to. I want to get stuff done before he wakes up so that I'm ahead of my day.
Yeah.
So I would get up, meditate, start my day off with a meditation. It doesn't have to be like 25 minutes. It could be 10-minute meditation. And then I would do some like journaling. So like asking myself intention questions, not do your diary journaling. Like, okay, what am I excited about today? What needs to get done today? Who needs me to show up unstoppable today? Who needs me to be at my best? Kind of questions like that I would ask myself just to get my focus on the day.
Yeah.
And then I would do, I don't know if you know, it's Gareth J. White does this thing called stacking. And it's kind of like Byron Katie's The Work. Do you know Byron Katie?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Basically, it's his version of The Work. So I would do an hour of that.
Yeah.
I've got to do that. And then we got to do like some gratitude stuff. So basically in the morning, I meditate, I move, I make sure I sweat. I do ask myself some questions for the day with intention so I know what I'm doing for the day. And I send some gratitude messages, and then I'll do a little bit of studying on my business. It could be, and this is a bit of game changer for me. So before I used to be like reading loads of books, I was consuming a lot. Whereas my coach Garrett was like, just go to the next revelation and then stop. So like when you read something that's profound, it's like, I don't need to go on because I haven't digested what I've read. So I'm like, whoa, that's game changer. Because I could read for an hour before, but now I'm like, sometimes it could be the first sentence. And then I'm like, that's me got my golden nugget for today.
Yeah.
And then I would do a little journal on that. And then that then usually shays away. So but in the mornings, it's get your mindset with your meditation, get your body moving. Sweat wise, it could be 10 jumping jacks, it could be a 20-minute workout, it could be a walk, whatever. And then I send a few gratitude messages, just like people, I appreciate you, and that gets you really feeling great.
Yeah.
And then just a bit of journaling. What about you, Jen? What do you do? You're completely probably different to me.
Mine is much more settled and calming. So when I wake up, I tend to be very much on edge. I'm not an anxious person, but I'm a very high energy. I could be an anxious person if I was that way inclined to like worry and to overthink things. So I need to do a very grounding practice in the morning. So I get up, teeth, shower, lymphatic work, lie down and do my meditation. And I've got an eye pillow on, I've got my headphones on with my healing music, all that. It's not a tune, it's just sounds of music. I've been using the insight timer and setting the insight timer to just to time how long I'm there, because some days I could lie there for an hour. I just go off in, and it's really interesting because I did a meditation teacher training over the previous 6 weeks, and one of the things that had come up during that was we're never going to get our mind, like our mind is always going to be noisy, it's always trying to process things, but detached from getting caught up in the drama of it. So if you've got thoughts that need to be processed, allow them to process rather than trying to overly control and overrein in, because that's when you then totally disrupt.
It's like the bottle in the water, isn't it? The more you push it down, it just so just let it all come,
Just let it pop up, acknowledge that it's there, and don't get caught up in the drama of it. Let it pass on. So I do that. I got up at 5:30, so that takes me 5:30 through till 8 o'clock. If I've finished my meditation before 8 o'clock, I'll read a book or read some of a book. And then at 8 o'clock, I go for a walk up around the park, and then come back and then do breakfast, or sometimes I've got a client or class, and then that's when I'll start my movement, like my more focused movement. So Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturday mornings I've got either Pilates or yoga teaching.
Yeah.
I use my teaching as my movement practice, and then on my other days, I'll maybe lie on the floor and roll about a wee bit. It's just,
Yeah. And it's great because the movement can be anything you want. It doesn't have to be like people think that you have to go to the gym and do a major 45-minute session. It's like, one, is not sustainable all the time.
yeah,
Two, the gyms aren't open right now. So do something that won't get your heart rate up, but that you can do it every day. So
yeah,
walks are great, and especially in nature, it's just like get out of the house for a few minutes, especially if you work from home,
yeah.
like we do. It's like just get out in that nature, get that fresh air, and go back, and you just feel so much clearer. But what's your favorite thing about your routine, your morning ritual? What's your favorite one? Like, what could you not give up?
Oh, I wouldn't give up any of it.
That's
So,
good.
and so like there's a few days last week that I thought I'm not going to set my alarm, I'm just going to get up. But I get so much from those moments of grounding, those moments for myself, that by the time Chris gets up and he joins me, I can deal with him.
Yeah.
And I mean that in the nicest possible way. But Chris gets out of bed and he is energetic and he is ready to go, and he's
Yes.
noisy in the way he talks and he's noisy in the way he moves, and I need to prepare myself to be able
Yeah.
to be like, that's totally fine, that's him. If we meet too early in the morning, it's like, oh my god, go with you need to stop. Like, I just feel really agitated really, really quickly from it. So if I don't have that 2 hours of space or 2.5 hours of space, then it challenges our relationship.
Yeah, I'm like that with Shay. Like he wakes up at different times every day. Like today it was 6:30, where sometimes it's 6:50, and I'm like, no, no, I need to
So
get this stuff done. Yeah, and it is challenging because the way I see it is me doing this stuff in the morning is me being my best self, and I want to be my best self with them. I don't want to be grouchy and grab it and like it just sets the day off like awful. So yeah, having that morning time for you is so important.
Yeah, and I think I never started, like when I started doing my morning routine, I didn't start getting up at 5:30 in the morning. I started off initially just setting an alarm to get up out of my bed
Yeah.
at the same time every day, and then I put it back half an hour. So I was getting up that wee bit half hour earlier and doing something, and then gradually building so that I'm now at 5:30, because that works really, really well for me. It doesn't work for everybody. Early to some people is 7:30 or half 8.
Oh yeah.
Like,
But I'm in bed by 9, 9:30. I'm not a night owl at all.
yeah,
Morning time. Like but for me, I'm thinking I was always a morning person. When I used to work in Aldi, we used to be up at 5:30. I was grand. And I was thinking, would I get up that early if I didn't have Shay? I probably would, because I think I've got more clarity in the morning. I'm very creative in the morning. Nighttime, I'm like, just don't talk to me. I'm just so, but everybody's different. So some people work really well in their evening rituals, but they don't really do too well in their morning ones. So
do you have an evening ritual?
yeah, so it depends really. Like, so one thing I would always do is my wins at the night time. So like basically in my journal, looking back of what have I done well today, so that I go to bed like feeling a little bit proud of myself. So like, what have I done really well? I try to come up with 3 wins. I would try not be on my device before, like a half an hour before. Try to read before.
Yeah.
But I do love ASMR. So that's very relaxing to me. So I could like maybe turn my phone off and have listening to that.
Yeah.
It's just very, sometimes I'll have a shower, sometimes a bath. It's basically just been winding down and reminding me of what I've done well today. It's not a very focused and very action orientated one because I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
So it's wind, relax, meditation, put a candle on, stuff like that.
Yeah. That's a good one to remind yourself of what you're proud of that day. Like that's I think that's really important, because so often we can go to bed being really focused on the shit that happened that day.
Absolutely.
Upset you or something that's distressed you or whatever. I know.
Yeah.
I teach.
I do that to all the kids as well, and it's been a game changer. Like I'll have 9 and 10-year-olds doing this stuff before they go to bed, and I'm like, that is a habit. If I was to give them anything, it's a habit, so that like we even do it at the end of the week. So it's like I'll do it the exact same thing at the end of the week, like what happened during the week, because we're like, I didn't really have a good week. And then when you sit down and go, oh my God, I had an amazing week.
Yeah.
Because it teaches you to focus on the stuff that you have done rather than what you've not. Because we're always not going to do stuff because we're entrepreneurs. We're just always a list. Like it's never ending that list. But look at all the stuff you have done.
Yeah, totally. And it's important. I think for some people it's really useful to like do a class or something at night. So on a Monday and a Wednesday evening I teach. On a Monday it's Pilates at 6 o'clock, and on a Wednesday I teach Pilates at 7, and I do an hour and a half on the Wednesday night because I do a half-hour yoga nidra guided meditation as part of that class. And people always say that they sleep much better after they've done that. So it's just, although we're having to teach on Zoom and they're on a screen to do the class, for most of the class they're not watching the screen.
Yeah, totally.
In their own zone, they're doing their own thing and just doing that movement, doing that winding down, so that when some of them on the Wednesday night don't actually come back onto the call because everybody's on mute, do the guided meditation, and I'll usually wait like a minute just to see if anybody comes on to ask a question or whatever. But if nobody makes connection, then I'll just end the call, because if people are in that really relaxed state, you don't want to pull them out of them to try and get back into it again. And that's really like their sleep, particularly in those nights, they find they get a much deeper sleep, a much better sleep. So it's then being able to do that on the nights that I'm not teaching, because I don't want to teach every single night.
Yeah, I teach twice.
I need my downtime.
Yeah. It's like Monday nights I do the Warrioress Movement, and then Tuesday nights I do the basketball mentoring. So like tonight my sister was like, do you want to come do this training with me? I was like, no, I just want like a night, because I used to do the journaling on a Sunday night, and I've kind of taken that back a little bit, because I feel like nighttime should be time for resting and being with my partner, and just doing, because if we're up that early at 5:30 and then we do a class like 8, the day's a long day, because even if you've got something at 8 o'clock, you don't relax because I've still got my class. So it's a long day, but especially when you're looking at the screen a lot, like don't get me wrong, Zoom is like my best friend right now because it's done a lot for me this year.
Be a lifesaver.
Yeah, it's opened up a lot of doors for me, but it's like if you're doing 6 hours on the trot, 7 hours, it can be quite not good for the old brain. I'll get migraines and stuff sometimes.
Yeah, it's not good for your eyes, because your eyes are focusing on the screen and the screen's always flickering, so your eyes are always doing that, and that can really trigger migraines. But the lymphatic stuff that I've been teaching recently has been really useful, and it's useful for people who regularly suffer migraines, particularly stress migraines.
Right, okay.
The build-up of the lymphatic fluid in around your head and in around your brain can get congested, and if that's not draining away, that drains away overnight. And if it's not draining away properly overnight, then you're getting a build-up, and then more toxins are building up. More toxins are building up, then you get...
Here's a question for you then, right? Because sometimes if my neck is lying a certain way on a pillow, like sometimes I've woken up with really bad headaches, and I kind of thought it was when the weather changes and the pressure kind of changes?
Yep.
And I'm like, that's happened a few times where it must have been whatever way the pillow was or something. So maybe it was that lymphatic thing wasn't being drained or something.
Could be. So the lymphatics from your head come down, and see where your cervical spine meets your thoracic spine, and it's a bit more knobbly at that part where your traps kind of come over. There's a drainage point there, and quite often if that's congested, you can get a build-up of fluid, and it'll feel like when you press into it, when it's painful, it can feel a bit puffy. And that can be congestion there. I'll send you over the videos.
I think I'll have to look up at your course, because it'd be definitely beneficial for me. I have changed a few things diet-wise as well, but it's like I like to go at things from a whole holistic rather than say it's the screen or it's your food. I like, well, let's heal it all. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And if you've got, because you get IBS, don't you?
No, I don't have IBS.
You don't have IBS. I thought you had. Oh, you get psoriasis.
Yeah, I had really bad psoriasis. Like I have it all now. Because I was in the light treatment, I went into I was in this big machine. I had to wait like from April, and I got it in December, and I just finished last week. I had to go in, and they only go in for a few seconds and then they build it up. So that's cleared my psoriasis. But on my hands, it's all in here. I can't even wear my rings or anything because it's really quite bad. I think it's when you're washing the dishes, because you know you're washing your hands a lot more lately.
Yeah.
And especially with sanitizer, it's quite tough. So yeah, that's what's with my psoriasis right now.
Yeah, so one of the guys that was on my last lymph workshop, he has psoriasis, and I met him in the park yesterday, and he's like, "That my skin is totally clearing up. Like my skin, I'm doing the lymph stuff quite regularly." So if you've got any gut health issues or skin issues, autoimmune conditions, holding excess weight, all of these things are connected to congested lymph. So
Wow.
how to do a little bit of self-maintenance, because some people, when you're allowed to go for massages, you can go for lymphatic drainage massages, but having wee tools, the stuff that you can do on a really regular basis is your self-care, self-maintenance.
Is that the brush stuff?
Yeah, you can use a brush, you can use your hands. The sequence that I teach is one that's unique to my teacher. There's loads of different ways that you can do it. You can use massage tools, you can use your hands, you can use brushes, you can use cloths. But the order of sequence of this technique is what makes it very different to other techniques, because what my teacher has done is looked at it from a sort of like an electrician scientific kind of way of, like, where does the lymphatic system drain off? Right, let's work backwards from there so that you're clearing the point of lowest pressure first. It's like if your sink's totally bogged up, you don't go to the mains to try and flush it out. You start at the point of potential pressure, clear that out, and if that doesn't help, then work your way back. And that's the order of the sequence that we do. So it's been really useful, and I use it. I've noticed a huge difference in my energy. So with having Crohn's, my energy can be all over the place. I can have just one busy day, and then I'm on my back for days and days and days after that. But this is helping me maintain a much more regular point of energy.
Oh, that's something I'm really always striving for, because, like, especially when I stopped eating animal products and stuff like that, I would find like my iron was going up, my energy was going up, and I was doing all these questions and the movement, all the strategies. But it's like, oh my God, maybe it's like the basis. I need to get this. I really want to get the balance of it, because I'll go a great day, and then I had a brilliant week. Last week and the week before was like really productive, and then like the last 2 days I've been wiped out from it. So it's getting that balance of it. Yeah.
But also, as women, we need to honour our monthly cycle.
Oh, I love all that.
I love that. Where you are in that part of your cycle, because, and as entrepreneurs, we have maybe more freedom. I'm saying that kind of carefully. We maybe have more freedom to dictate our schedule. We have to be really conscious of trying to work it in. We have more freedom to do that, like look at our month, see where we're energetic, see where we're not, and plan our time around that. We are very guilty as human beings, is just to keep powering through and not honouring.
And have you read Wild Power?
No.
With my sister on now. Hey, Jill. It's all about, and I've been teaching it, some of the girls recommended it to me in the program, and it's basically how it goes through the season. So during your monthly cycle, you'll have spring, summer, winter, and August. And it's like what you said there, it's like, you know when you're going to be the most productive and when you have the most energy. Plan your sessions those days, and like your 5-day window, they're more self-care days. And especially as entrepreneurs, if you can do that, tailor it in. But I suppose even if you were an employee, you could maybe say, okay, I know that's coming up, maybe take a day or a half day, or just not be so hard on yourself those days, because it's crazy. And a lot of people are telling me this lately. It's like I think women are having this movement of honouring this cycle. Yeah. And it's very empowering. And there's a book I'm reading now called The Warrior Goddess Training. Have you read it?
I've not read it, but I know of it, because when I search for my book, when I put in the search "Become a Warrior Woman," her stuff comes up before mine, and I'm like, no, how did you get there before me?
Oh God. Yeah, it's actually really fascinating, and she talks about these red rooms or something. It's like, what are they called?
A red tent.
Red tents, yeah. So they go to this, like all the, like this is back in the native times, tribal times,
Yeah.
and like the women were, like the men were seeing these as sacred times, and the stuff, the intuition and all the knowledge that the women got during this time, like they all just worshipped it and respected. And that doesn't happen now. Now it's kind of shamed upon, and don't ever mention the P word, and
Yeah.
it's really fascinating. I love all that stuff.
Yeah, we need to, because it's going to make the whole world a better place. I know somebody who gets migraines, and it's to do with her cycle. She gets these migraines, and she had got pulled in by her boss because when she gets a migraine she has to take time off. She got pulled in by her boss at work to discipline her for having to take this time off. Now she'd already been and said, you can see there's a pattern that's in line with my cycle. I'm going to need to try and arrange my shifts around this so that it's not interfering with work, and they wouldn't do it.
Was it a male
It,
boss?
I believe so, and it was also a big bank,
Uh,
and they were just not. And she was asking for her days off to be set on these days so that it would try, and she shouldn't have to use up her days off to go and have a migraine every month. But yeah, no, they just were not for accommodating, not honouring. There's no no respect, and see, even if it was a woman who had never experienced that before, like you come across like some women. I've spoken to a doctor before, a female doctor, and said about symptoms, and they kind of sometimes look at you like you're making stuff up because they've never experienced it. You're just like, everybody's
I don't
experience
actually
is different.
suffer. I know, and I've got clients who really suffer with it, and I sometimes don't get it because I never did,
Yeah,
like ever. Because I think when I was a kid, you know the way they say exercise really helps it. I was so athletic
yeah,
that when people were like, "Oh, I've got period cramps," I'm like, I didn't have my first period cramp till like 10 years after my first period or something. So I find it sometimes I'm like, okay, I respect it. I get where you're coming from because I've never been in that situation, but I definitely have had other things.
yeah,
Whereas has,
yeah.
different things. But I can imagine it must be terrifying as well for a man to be like, I don't know what to deal with this as well.
Yeah, totally. And the thing about exercise helping is exercise is moving your fluids around your body, and a lot of the time that tension and cramp is because there's inflammation that naturally happens in that area. But if you've got congested lymph, then the inflammation has got nowhere to go. So the pressure of the lymph being congested plus the pressure of the inflammation can then make things more painful. So the movement of doing exercise helps stimulate your lymphatic system, helps it keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing what the body, like, it's just so amazing. I'm getting really more into just like honoring the body, especially since I've had a child. It's like, and like I fed the child, and I was like, oh, I did that. Like it's just respect that you have for your body. It's like, and don't get me wrong, I still like would beat myself up if I ate certain stuff and all. I'm really working on that, but it's like, hold on a second, like you had your child live here for 9 months. Like, give me some respect. If my body was screaming at me, I know it would be saying
Yeah,
that. Just it's amazing. It's powerful. It's just like we are so powerful as women. I love it.
I know. We are. Oh, this has been so much fun.
I know.
I'm just like looking at the time. I'm like, that shit, man. We've been on here 40 minutes already.
What? Oh my goodness. Wow. Did you want to do one last thing with a positive day or something?
Sure, sure.
What what, what
Your top tip to have a positive day.
what's your top tip? Are you asking me or
Yeah, I'm asking you.
oh, what's my top tip? It definitely would be the energy. Get that on point in the morning, like listen to a bit of music, get a good bit of music going on, do a bit of movement. Try and stay off your phone as much as you can, especially when you feel crap. If you need to take a nap, I would take a nap. Get outside. Little things that people don't like. I've heard that before, and I'm like, yeah, but have you done it? Have you actually like added them all together? And just work on that focus. Like if you're feeling bad, like what am I focusing on? So they're just
Mm.
same things over and over again. But what would your top ones be?
Learning to listen and trust your body, like really
Mm.
getting to know yourself. so that you can understand. So it's taken me a long time to get to that point where I can say, I know that when I get up in the morning, my nervous system is hyperactive. I'm sympathetic dominant, so I need to do things to reverse that. Whereas somebody who's parasympathetic dominant needs to do something to build that energy up. So getting to know yourself and not comparing yourself to other people. So you are you. Your experience, how you come into the world, is completely you.
Yes.
It's not, oh well, they get up at 5:30 in the morning, that's what I should do. If that doesn't work for you, don't force it, because you will not get the benefit of it. So work out what works for you, and that might change over time.
Yeah.
So adapt
Change
to
it
that.
today.
Yeah. Keep listening to your body, responding to what it's telling you rather than reacting. So if you're like,
Through it.
I need a packet of crisps, do you really need it? Or do you really want it? Like,
or what are you trying to get from that packet of crisps that you
yeah.
could give to yourself in a holistically way?
Yeah.
Comfort, or, you know?
Yeah. Sometimes it is just you want to taste a packet of crisps, and that's totally fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Salty, or maybe your body needs water or something. And it's interesting you said that, because since I've been working with Paul and Garrett, like, I'm like, I've got to do what they've got to do, all right? And then I was burning out, and then I thought, hold on a second, right? These are like multi-millionaire men. I have a 3-year-old. I'm like, I'm starting out in my business. Why am I treating myself the same way that they're treating themselves? And I know people say a lot of the time, model your mentors and stuff, but it's like, model their thing and then adjust it and adapt it to your lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it's like,
inspire.
I'm a woman. I'm trying to be a man. I'll never be a man. I'm a woman. I cannot do what they're doing. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, the feminists will be after you for that.
Oh, I know.
Who cares? Because biologically we are different.
Totally different. Like, I'm not going to get into it because we'll get.
Yeah, we could be here for another hour. But I heard, like, I can't remember who it was that was saying this, that men's hormonal cycle is a 24-hour. It was within a 24-hour window, whereas our hormonal cycle is over 28 days. So even within that cycle process, we have to really honour and respect the differences there. If you don't want to respect anything else that's different, at least honour the differences in your hormonal cycle is totally different.
Yeah, and just having that respect. And I know a lot of people like look at me with double heads sometimes, because I'm like we've got to respect that person that you're with, because otherwise, like, no one's like, I'm not saying men are more inferior. Nobody, we're equal, but we are different. That's my opinion. But yeah, no one's better than other, but we're just different.
Yeah, totally. I'm going to let you go back to your day of being.
Yes, thank you.
Do you want to tell people about your next program that's starting?
Yeah, so starting at the end of March. I can't remember the exact date, but if you go onto my bio, they'll see the Warrioress Movement, and then they can sign up for that there. And it's 4 weeks, and yeah, you can do that. That's the gateway in. And then if anybody wants any private personal coaching with myself, they can email me. So I've got Michelle Louise Young 10 at gmail.com, or my website's michellelouiseyoung.com. So thank you so much, Jen, for having me.
Pleasure.
I love this chat.
I love chatting to you.
Yeah.
Next time we'll do it in person.
Yeah, next time we go for a walk or something.
Yeah. We'll sort that. We'll go for another cold step.
Yeah. Oh God. I've been doing the cold showers still.
I've been doing cold showers more frequently. It's much better if I let the water hit my face before I let it hit my body. That seems to prepare me better for it.
Right.
If it just hits off my body, I just tense up and reject it very quickly.
Right.
I think it's just that easing into it. But we'll get in the Clyde again.
Trolleys. Okay, well, look, have a great day. Thanks for having me, Jen.
Bye.
Bye.